Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live class here on YouTube, and I'm gonna start the live on TikTok as well. We are, I think, at number 5. This is class number 5. We started a few weeks ago, and we'll be moving on today. I'll be showing you another tactic that I often use with my students to help them remember a lot more expressions, phrases, so they can have better conversation skills. This is especially going to come in handy when you're asking for advice. I think all of us keep giving advice, coming up with different ways to help each other when, let's say, we have a conversation in our real life or at work as well. And today we'll be looking at, as soon as I find what I need to share here, all kinds of different ways we can give advice. And it's something we talked about a week ago before we went on an Easter break. I think it was last Wednesday, so you can watch that video first as a replay on my YouTube channel. And I'm gonna do one thing that I often do with my students. When we already practice the simple phrases or expressions, we wanna move up a level, take the next level and move it up a notch, as well as we say in English. So sometimes what we wanna do first is start practicing speaking, start practicing having conversations in pretty with basic expressions or phrases that we can use to express ourselves. When we can already express ourselves with simple phrases more confidently, we can move on to the next level and start using more complex things as well. This is ultimately something you're going to be able to watch a video about when it drops. When is it next? No, is it going to be this Friday? No, this Thursday, when we were looking at something that's really crucial for us to understand how when we focus on improving 1%, having conversations on a regular basis, everything is going to improve about our communication skills. The biggest mistake people can make is wait forever to practice, right? Instead, what we do is build your confidence up. Start having conversations with the basic phrases or expressions, and then as you can already speak better, you can move up a level as well. If anybody's just joining us here on live, make sure you move on to YouTube, where we're gonna have our full screen live as well, as soon as I can find my presentation slides. Let me know, guys, how is it going, everybody? How is your day? How was your what was it? Easter break. I think I just have to present here and then share it over here. So head over to the link in my bio. There's a YouTube link where you'll be able to participate on our live class as well. And feel free to share in the comments whatever comes up as well. So I think I'm gonna have to do it in a different way. So just give me a few seconds here until I'll be able to do this. So last time we looked at all kinds of different expressions we can use to talk about all kinds of different things we can use to talk about giving advice. So this is just a basic review for everything that we had a look at. And we can just simply basically have a look at some of the phrases you can see in yellow that we can use to give advice to each other. So we've got an example here when someone's asking for advice about living in China. Like, for example, an English teacher or anybody in the West, we know that living in China holds incredible opportunities. I spent a few days in China last year when I came back to Europe from Korea, and I can tell you it's amazing. So we can see how one person with the green text here is giving advice to people. And one of the phrases we can always use is be careful not to. So as you can see, one sentence he says is, there was a question here. Do you have any advice for me? Absolutely. I'd be happy to help. Be careful not to rush into things too quickly. Take your time to understand the culture and the way things work here as well. If anybody wants to participate actively, we need serious people over here so we can eventually practice and have a look at these phrases. So head over to my profile if anybody wants to come over to YouTube and say hello in the comment section as well. I can see we have one viewer. Welcome, welcome, welcome on YouTube. Okay, so the first one is be careful not to. It's something we saw last time. We spent about 10-15 minutes about this, but you guys know, if you've seen some of my content, you guys know repetition is always a priority. In my classes, the way my students are able to build their confidence is that we spend more time practicing saying things we already know, but we don't exactly use so actively. So spending at least, let's say, twice as much time, 3 times as much time, using phrases that you already know so you can build your confidence is going to be super important, right? A lot of people just want to, people who think learning English is about, lists of words or how many teachers they follow or how many grammar items they know, but they can't speak confidently, really don't understand the power of repetition and reviewing. So that's the reason we are doing this. And one of them is be careful not to. So we're going to think about a few ways we can use it as well. And if we see the next one here as well, one way we can obviously give advice is stop. I think this is something most people know. Just remember that we always need to use ing here, right? So we say, stop worrying about the language barrier too much. Stop doing this, stop doing that, and you are going to see changes. Or we can even say, take time to. So the sentence says, many people speak English and you'll pick up Mandarin over time. Take time to explore the country beyond just the big cities where you have a better chance to talk to people in Mandarin. So take time to, a really nice way to give advice. If you saw before as well, we had an expression here which says, take your time to understand. So you can either say take time to or take your time to understand something. Now, why is it so important for us to do this? When people say something like, go to, I don't know, just thinking about a good one, go to Hyde Park, right? This Hyde Park is one of my favorite parks in London. I always went there when I had a few hours to take a break from work in between classes. So giving advice like go to Hyde Park is not the kindest way to do it, right? English speakers naturally tend to think about the other person. So saying go to Hyde Park is a way to, let's say, rude, way to improper. And this is partly why we want to say things like, take time to go to Hyde Park. Sounds so much more polite. I used to have students from like Spain or South America, and sometimes when they were speaking, they were translating from Spanish. They weren't focusing on what we focus on a lot in my classes, which is naturally learning to speak English, sounding natural, sounding like you're not translating every single word. And they kept telling me things like, send me the homework. And I understand what they want to say, but it's so impolite to say that, right? Instead, you could say, could I ask you to send me your homework? You can always find ways around it. Now, if you go back, so take time to go to Hyde Park. Then we're going to go back to the slides and have a look at the last part here as well. So all you really need, this is what we practice in every single one of our classes, in conversations at my students' level, so they get a lot of practice with using these. And one of them is don't be afraid to, which is another way to encourage people to do something, right? So you can say something like, how can I make the most of my time there? This was the question. Don't be afraid to try new things, whether it's food, activities, or cultural experiences. Don't be afraid to. You could think of different ways to use it as well. Don't be afraid to have conversations in English if you're serious about learning English. Don't be afraid to forget vocabulary because it happens to everyone. Don't be afraid to mess up a sentence and make mistakes because we are only humans, right? We can use these as well to apply them for our English learning as well. People who regularly communicate and interact always improve. So don't be afraid to have conversations if you're serious about learning. Then we have the next one, which is don't hesitate to. I love to use this as well. If anybody reads my emails, I always say this as well. Don't hesitate to reply. Don't hesitate to check out my masterclass. Don't hesitate to watch my next YouTube video, which is a kinder way to say do something. So instead of saying embrace the differences and enjoy the adventure, we can say don't hesitate to embrace the differences and enjoy the adventure, right? So we have 3 people watching on YouTube. Hello, guys. Let us know, guys, in the comments, who are you? Where do you come from? What is your big goal with English? How can speaking English make you a richer, better, more successful person? Let us know in the comments. And we're going to move on to the next stage as well. So we have be careful not to, take time to, don't be afraid to, don't hesitate to. And the last one that we didn't check yet is be ready to. Be ready to, right? So like we said here, Ahmed says, welcome, welcome, Ahmed. Our brave man here who's always here and replying and supporting our lives as well. Thank you so, so, so much. Hello to you too. How is it going? You're a loyal student from Mauritania. Believe me, consistency is everything, right? Actively choosing to make time for practicing and communicating and commenting and joining classes and paying attention is what will get you above 90% of the people. So this is why I'm super excited to see you here every single time, because this is what matters. Showing up regularly, communicating, practicing the expressions, and taking courage to speak and interact. I can already see your success in the next couple of months and years with English, Ahmed. Okay, so we want to practice these a little bit before we move on to something else. These are expressions we've already seen together. So could you guys think about different ways we could use these expressions in sentences? So you can think about different ways we can use these phrases. If anybody's just joining us on TikTok, make sure you move over to YouTube. We have our live class. So much more comfortable to watch it there and participate and be active in the comments. We want active people all over in the comments practicing some of these phrases. So the question is, the exercise. Give some advice on living in your country. So if I was to move to your country, whether it is Mauritania or China or Vietnam or Japan, South Korea, Costa Rica, what advice would you give me? For example, if somebody would to move to my country, which is Hungary, my home country, I would say something like, be careful not to have your wallet in your pocket, or make the most of visiting the countryside, because Hungary isn't only Budapest, right? So what different advice would you give to visitors or people who want to live in your country? Let's keep practicing. Choose one of the phrases you see, and then we are gonna practice. So leave your comments either on TikTok or on YouTube as well. Which of these phrases would you be able to use to give advice to people who are visiting? Leave your comments as a way to practice. One of the most important things we need to do is to have full-on phrases and sentences that we can use, so we don't need to think. Like, so many people come to me and say, Chubby, I don't speak English because I always have to think so much. Well, if you learn full expressions like be careful not to, don't be afraid to, pay attention to, be ready to, you don't need to think. They will automatically come because you practice them as well, right? This is what learning a language is about. Using a series of phrases, not words. A lot of people study 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 words because they think that's where confidence comes from. And I say, no, confidence comes from doing something. Confidence comes from speaking, having conversations, enjoying having conversations with other people, not because of your level of English or because of how many mistakes you make, but because you want to connect with other people. That's what it's all about, right? So, could you give a few examples to people visiting your country? Let's see comments, comments, comments. What I always recommend to my students is to use the phrases that they don't often use, right? So it's easy to say things like don't, or maybe pay attention to, or stop worrying about, but which of these you never use when you communicate? That's what we want to focus on. That's what we want to start with, right? So start using some of these and let us know in the comments. What advice would you give to people visiting or moving to your country? Oh, I guess somebody was sharing some nasty comments here. Let's see some comments. What advice would you give to someone visiting your country? We're gonna wait for a few more minutes and then move on. We are not waiting for people who don't want to take action. If you don't want to practice, fine. You can scroll to the next live. If you'd like to practice, then stay here and leave your comments. So what advice would you give to someone visiting your country? Can you share a few comments, a few pieces of advice? So I'm a world traveler. If anybody knows, I share my content on traveling all the time. This is one of the gifts of investing so much of my time, energy, and money in learning English, that I get to travel the world. So if I was to move to your country, I lived in Japan, in the UK, Thailand, Malaysia. So if I decided to move to your country, what advice would you give me using these phrases? If I was to move to Mauritania, what would you give me advice about? If you're serious about learning to speak English, feel free to leave comments. Led says, don't take a taxi outside, order online. Oh my God, what's gonna happen? Led, what is your country? Thank you for the comment. Yay, yay, yay. What is your country? You can also use, something we need more examples. Thank you, Ahmed. So we saw a few examples before, but I'm gonna give you some. So don't is just one way to do it. I would recommend you take the courage and use one of the other ones. But if we want to discourage people from doing something, we can say something like, be careful not to, right? So Led, this is for you. We can just simply say, be careful not to take a taxi outside. Instead, order online, order one online, right? Be careful not to order a taxi on the street. Be careful not to take a taxi outdoors. Always order one online. What country are you from? And if you just joined us, let's hit that screen with your like and bring in more people. We need serious people here who are flooding the comment section on both YouTube and on TikTok as well. And if you're not interested in practicing, we don't need you. You can move to the next live and practice there or watch other people. But if you want to keep on practicing, stay with us and leave your comments. No one will ever improve their speaking skills by watching other people speak. Be careful not to go anywhere after. Ooh, that's a good one. Very good. Okay, be careful not to go anywhere after midnight. Okay, so is it too late? Isn't it too late? Would I be safe if I leave and I'm on the street at 9 p.m.? So a few more examples I can give because Ahmed was requesting some. Would be stop worrying about, right? So you could say stop worrying about what? Stop worrying about taking a taxi, rent a motorbike, or take time to take time to take time to choose your hotel. Read the reviews because not every hotel is high quality. Make the most of. I could say make the most of, like when I was visiting Bali, I was in Indonesia for 3 months. Make the most of living in the jungle. When you live in Ubud, for example, which is the part of Bali which is full of forests and rainforests and rice fields, you can make the most of that experience. Make the most of your visit to the museum. Make the most of eating ramen when you visit Japan, right? Just a few examples. Or we can even say things like pay attention to, right? Pay attention to pickpockets trying to steal something from you on the Eiffel Tower. Okay, we have someone here as well. Is it Bishi? I hope I pronounced your name correctly, or Bixi. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Thank you so much. Take time to your friends and family. So I'd say after take time, we need to use a verb, right? So an example would be like take time to spend time with your friends and family. That makes sense. Take time to spend time, take time to take care of, take time to celebrate with your friends and family. This would be one as well, right? That could help a lot. Okay, could we think of one more? Let's choose this one more example here. If anybody on TikTok who is serious about learning, let's move over to YouTube, or let's keep the comment section firing up. And if you're not interested in practicing, you can swipe to the next line. Led, thank you so much for the likes. Okay, so what I like to do so these are pretty basic sentences, right? Most people don't use them because they never practice, but we can start with these. Be careful not to. Stop worrying about. Take time to, right? Take time to spend time with your friends. Take time to choose your airline. Take time to wait for your dish because it usually takes, I don't know, an hour. Or be ready to, right? Let's just see one example here. Be ready to, whether it's on TikTok or here on YouTube. What is a way we could use the word be ready to? So let's say when you come to Hungary, which is my home country, be ready to buy a lot of chimney cake. This is our favorite dessert. An example could be ready to buy a lot of chimney cakes. There was an S there. Be ready to buy a lot of chimney cakes. This is our national dessert. Or pay attention to your car when you leave it outside. Brilliant, Ahmed. Thank you so much. Definitely, we need to pay attention to our car, or just don't leave it outside, I presume, right? Okay, so if these are okay, then what I like to do with my more advanced students is when they got used to these phrases, basic phrases, we like to extend it. So these are pretty simple phrases we can use, right? The most basic speakers, after a lot of practice interacting with other people, whether it's in our classes or in their lives, they can already use these. Be careful not to, take time, make the most of. Now, you guys have been avoiding make the most of. So can I see an example there? And then what I like to do is extend it. So we're going to have 2 more slides, I believe, where we will see 5 other examples. These are more advanced examples of how we can give advice. Once we already practiced basic phrases, we can start using more advanced phrases as well. And that's how confidence is built. If you guys have been following my accounts, you guys know confidence comes from taking action. You take action, you take courageous action, you will build your confidence, right? People don't have confidence because they never try. If you try and you try and you try and you try, you seek feedback, you always look for the difficulty just a bit above your level, and you surround yourself with people who don't make fun of you, there is no reason your confidence isn't going to improve, right? And that is my ultimate goal on my in my business. Make the most of your leisure time reading productive articles. That's a brilliant one. What would be a productive article? Maybe articles on productivity or articles. Because the thing about this sentence is perfect in terms of how we practice giving advice, right? Bixi or Bishi. I don't know how to pronounce your name, so sorry if I pronounce it wrong. So make the most of your leisure time is a perfect example. But we don't often say things like productive articles. Productive can be a person, right? Our classes can be productive. You can be productive when you spend half an hour learning English and you'll remember 5-10 expressions because you paid attention, because you have focus. Most people are not productive with their English, right? They study from textbooks, they watch videos, but they cannot speak. So are they productive? Not really. So yes, that's productive. But productive articles, maybe useful articles or articles on productivity. These are my 2 options, but let me know if that's what you thought about. So you can either say useful articles or articles on productivity, right? If anybody has just joined us, we have about 15 minutes left from our live class on YouTube. So if you're still on TikTok, you're interested in joining us, head over to the link in my bio. There's a YouTube link over there, and you can join and have fun with our people over here. When you come to Mauritania, be ready to drink tea and Zurich. It's kind of mixing milk and water and sugar. Awesome. Wow. So I'm going to have to check out what Zurich is and keep that in mind as well. Thank you for the recommendation. You see, so we can use all these kind of different ways to give advice. Now, everybody's ready for an extension. Everybody's ready for more complex phrases. Shall we jump in or keep practicing this? Let us know, guys. Keep hitting the like button, either on TikTok or on YouTube, and then we're going to jump in and do something way more complex as well. Sometimes the thing about complex is we need to be ready. So don't practice complex phrases if your level of English is still elementary or basic, right? We need to get in the reps. Many people don't understand this, right? Improving your confidence is about having regular conversations with other people 2-3 times a week. My students in our classes are able to make a lot of progress in a short amount of time, pass an interview, communicate way better at work, or give a presentation, feel so much more confident about public speaking because they put in the reps, because they practice interacting, having a conversation, communicating with other people. And it's all about understanding where you are at your level, right? Way too many people want to practice something more complex, something that they cannot do yet. So one of my biggest pieces of advice is practice, have regular conversations, communicate at your current level, right? Because confidence doesn't come from doing something that's way too difficult, doing something that is impossible, like speaking perfectly or using the most complex phrases. Confidence comes from doing something where you are, doing it, not keeping on waiting, watching other people build their lives, but betting on yourself and say, maybe it's going to be a bit scary, maybe I'm going to feel nervous, but I'm a serious person. I want to take that seriously. And I'm going to jump into a conversation and practice where I am at my level. Request feedback, surround myself in a safe space, spend time in a safe space, surrounding myself with supportive people, and do that 1%. And when you are able to do that 1%, you can do the next one and the next one and the next one. It's just like, yes, we are ready. It's just like going to the gym, right? On the first day in the gym, you don't pick up 40 kilograms and start pulling weight, right? You go there and you start pulling 5 kilograms, you start pulling 2 kilograms. And when you know how to do 2 kilograms, you do 3, and then you do 4, and then you do 5, and then you do 10, and then you do 40 eventually, right? But no one builds their confidence by not doing anything, waiting, watching other people, or doing something too difficult, right? These are the 4 biggest things. People either don't give a shit. That's not my audience. That's not the kind of people I help. People who try, but maybe they expect too difficult. They expect things to be too difficult, so they don't do it. But again, you don't need to keep studying. You have to start where you are and practice. And of course, staying consistent with everything is super important. Don't be like most people who never practice and they just waste all their time watching other people build a successful life on social media. Keep practicing, having conversations at your level. So we're going to move on to the next stage, which is our extension. So we have an article. If anybody has been to, what is it called? If anybody's been to Tokyo, you will see a couple of familiar places here. So I spent 3 months in Tokyo last year and a few other months in 2021 as well during COVID, living in Tokyo. But yes, this is a great example here. So I'm going to read this out for you guys. Well, if you're into visiting old temples, you might want to check out Sensoji in Asakusa. It's one of the oldest and most famous temples in Tokyo. So if you're into something, you might want to. If you're into reading books, you might want to read Harry Potter. If you're into eating fish, you might want to eat sushi. If you're into social media, you might want to check out YouTube. If you're into learning English, you might want to use Quizlet to remember vocabulary, right? This is just one way to put it. Then we have the next part, which says, that sounds great. What else is a must-see? Visiting Tokyo Tower is a must. The view from the top is incredible, especially at night when the city lights up. I can tell you guys, the view from Tokyo Tower is incredible. Make that one of your dreams, a bucket list item to be near Tokyo Tower at night in Roppongi. It's a beautiful area, and if you go up to the top as well, you will have an incredible view of Tokyo as well. So we've got the expression is a must. So what is a must? Could you guys think about a few ways we can use it? So let's say if you move to France, eating cheese is a must. Something is a must. A great way for you to give advice to somebody, right? It's not like it's a must as in you must do it, but it's highly recommended. The phrase something something is a must is a way to recommend something they should definitely visit, right? So could you think of something that is a must in your country? So Ahmed said, talked about tea in Mauritania. So we could say drinking tea or trying zurig, mixing water and sugar, is a must in your country. What is a must in your country to do for anybody visiting? let us know in the comments, guys. If you are a serious English learner, you need to leave comments and practice. If you're not serious, we don't want you to be here. Because who wants people who are not serious? Okay, so Ahmed says, the first day in the gym will hurt too much and the recovery will last a few days, but after a while, you'll be able to lift more heavy and recover from more quickly. Okay, so the day in the gym, the first day in the gym will hurt too much and the recovery will last a few days, but after a while, you'll be able to lift. This comes from a French way of thinking, right? So instead of more heavy, remember that it's always going to be heavier. Okay. So the recovery will last a few days. There's a difference between a few days and few days. And recover from it more quickly, right? Recover from it more quickly. But great sentence, definitely a great sentence. This is how learning English works as well. And when something hurts, that's good. When something is confusing, that's good. When something feels hard, that's good because that's how you're learning. How many people spend their entire day trying to avoid doing what feels hard and they never improve, right? They never build confidence because all they do is swipe on their phone, click a few times, nothing else. And then they say they don't have confidence. Well, confidence comes in from inside of you. So I think that's where it starts. Ahmed totally gets this, right? We need to push through the fear, move into a conversation and practice expressing ourselves. Otherwise, we cannot complain that we don't have confidence because confidence comes from within. Confidence is what you think about yourself based on your past experiences. No one has confidence without competence and practice. If you move to Mauritania, drinking tea is a must. Great. They drink it here 5 times a day. Brilliant. So just for us to be able to practice more. So something is a must. Going to Asakusa Sensoji Temple in Tokyo is a must, or visiting Gyeongju if you visit South Korea is a must. Visiting Ubud in Indonesia if you're traveling to Bali is a must. Okay, we could spend the rest of the day here with my travel advice, but we're gonna move on to the next topic because that's not the point today. I often talk about my travel plans, but not in a live about improving your communication skills. And if anybody needs any advice, just let me know. Whatever country you're traveling to, because traveling opens the mind. So the next one is, I'll make sure to add that to my list. Any advice? Yeah. Any advice on navigating the city? It would probably be wise to get a Suica card for the trains and buses. It makes getting around much easier and you can use it for shopping too. A great phrase as well. This is really complex. So if you take an exam, you're going to get so many points for this. It would probably be wise to. Instead of saying you should, just simply say it would probably be wise to. It would probably be wise to spend an hour every day actively listening to something in English, right? Whether it's a movie you watch or to build your vocabulary as well. And then, good to know. Is there anything else I should keep in mind while exploring Tokyo? And it says, there's no harm in trying some street food from the local vendors. Ramen, sushi, takoyaki are must tries. So we're going to have a look at vocabulary probably next time. But we have, there's no harm in doing something. Ing, right? So can we practice? It would probably be wise to. and there's no harm in trying. Let's have a look and practice these two. So thinking again about visiting your city, right? What would be ways you could use these two phrases? So it would probably be wise to, I'm gonna give you one. It would probably be wise to have a drink with locals in Budapest. And there's no harm in going back to your hotel around 10 p.m. So we have two sentences where we used these phrases, right? Could we think about ways you could use it as well? We have 5 minutes left to practice. So keep on hitting the comment section, coming over to YouTube as well, and let us know what different ways are there for you to give advice this way as well. It would probably be best to, or there's no harm in, followed by something ing. Gonna wait for a few comments to come up. And guys, we have 5 minutes left, so join us from TikTok as well. Either leave your comment on TikTok. Thank you for the like. Who was that? Tom. Beautiful like. Thank you so much for the support. You have no idea how much you're helping with a single like. And it's so much about getting in front of all those people who actually take English seriously. If anybody knows me, you guys know I don't work with people who are not serious about improving their English, because most people aren't. And when you get serious about it, the way we saw Ahmed coming every class as well, or people who send me emails about practicing, people who join our free community as well, build your fluency, I know they are serious because they take action. They keep spending their limited amount of time on this planet with doing something that's important to them. That is what I call being serious about learning, right? Understanding that there's no amount of waiting, overthinking, procrastination, fear that makes us realize that we don't have all the time available on this planet. We are gonna die. So why not keep practicing? Why not keep being brave and risk, and instead of hiding and watching other people build their success, build our communication skills as well. So that's what it's about. That's what improving your English is about, right? So can we see a few examples with this? It would probably be wise to have a drink. There's no harm in doing something. Can give you a few more examples. It would probably be wise to sleep 8 hours a day, right? Healthy mind sleeps a lot. A healthy mind that remembers vocabulary, that has emotional intelligence, that is not staying in the fear, sleeps a lot. We need replenishing. We need to replenish our mind, our brain. So it would probably be wise to sleep 8 hours a day. Or there's no harm in spending a year away from your country. There's no harm in spending a year away from your country. So there's no harm. From your country. Brilliant. Just one more way for us to practice. Okay, and before our live is coming to an end, because we usually have about 45 minutes to practice, let's just see, guys, what you remember. So give me one phrase you paid attention to, you learned today in our practice, and leave a comment with it. Just one. Most people never do this. They watch videos all day, all night, and never think, okay, what did I learn from this? How can I use one phrase one expression in my next conversation, the next time I take an interview, the next time I take an exam, the next time I have a conversation, the next time I have a class where I can use it, right? So what is one phrase you learned today and you want to remember, you want to focus on? Anytime you watch a video, anytime you watch a movie on Netflix, anytime you read a book, you might want to try to read some books like classics or something else, depending on your level of English. There are easy ways to do it. You want to remember one, right? So Ahmed says, it would probably be wise to practice sports afternoon. There's no harm in practicing it while you're fasting. Definitely, right? It's still Ramadan this week. Hopefully you guys can celebrate Eid al-Fitr next week as well. Not as well, but next week. But until then, we can try to find the energy and practice, right? So one thing, Ahmed, to be careful with is practice. And I'm so glad you're leaving comments, because this is how you will understand your mistakes. It would probably, so I'd say practice sports or practice doing sports. Okay, sounds a bit more natural to say practice doing sports instead of just practice sports. This might come from French as well. So it'd probably be wise to practice doing sports in the afternoon. There's no harm in practicing them while you're fasting. Okay, and we have another one here. It'd probably be fast to practice sport afternoon. Okay, that's the same thing. It'd probably be wise to practice sport at there's no, I think it's the same. Yeah. So great. Keep these in mind. Okay, at least a few of these expressions. I'm going to leave the two, well, how many slides? A few slides below. If anyone is looking for further support, we have a conversation community. Very soon, around the middle of April, we're going to start a challenge, which is going to be all about vocabulary. So join us, learn, and practice vocabulary with us. This is a community, a free community for anyone who's either an entrepreneur, an academic, a business owner, serious person who wants to improve their fluency and communication skills, because you see the value in keeping on improving how you speak, how confidently you communicate. Plus, we have a free PDF. This is a brand new PDF. I just created an ebook with 17 habits of successful English learners. So if you want to be a successful English learner, you need to do this from today, right? Successful people don't look around. Where is success? They start acting like successful people today. It's the 90% of the people who keep saying, I don't have confidence, I don't have people to speak with, I don't have opportunities, who always stay where they are. People who want success with their English learning, they know it's all about habits. So check that out, download that. There's a link right under the description of this class replay. Plus, this is something I've sent out an email about a week ago. We have our massive masterclass coming up. It's only happening once a year when I'm offering this 50% off. You're going to be able to get everything you need to know in 75 minutes of the masterclass. You get to keep the replay and all the activities I'm going to talk about that will help you build massive confidence as well. This is the only time I'm offering this masterclass for 50% off. Otherwise, the price is usually about $49. This time, the investment is only for $24. So sign up. It's going to be at 6 p.m. GMT on the 10th of April, 2024. Sign up, check out the links in my bio, and don't forget to remember what we learned. Ahmed says it's probably wise. It would probably be wise never to miss Chubby's classes. Thank you so much. I hope you learned something. I'm going to leave the PDF of today's class in the description below on YouTube. Thank you so much, Ahmed and Tom, for the comments. You guys are amazing. Hope this will pay off. I promise. All of these comments you leave, all of these times you show up, actively communicate, leave comments, use the phrases, expressions. You're training your brain to speak better, think better, speak faster as well. Every single comment, Ahmed, you left, and Tom and Big C is going to pay off. That's how it works. That's how it worked for me when I was learning English. So thank you so much for the active participation. Next time we have a live class, Thursday, same time, 6 p.m. London time. And I can't wait to see you guys. We're going to do a bit of reviewing as well, so you could watch the replay. Take care, everybody.